Today, it's going to be about dating a man with kids. And I know some women, they are completely against dating men with kids, especially if they don't have their own kids. And my thing is that I'm not going to lie, I was like that too. When me and one of my exes broke up, and I was on Tinder and Bumble and all that, I was like, I am not gonna date no man with kids. Why do I want a man with kids? I don't want that responsibility. Like, baby mama drama be coming with that. I don't want that. I don't want that. My boyfriend has a daughter, and it was just like, finding out you have a kid on the way, and it's just like, dang, like, Keely, are you gonna stick around? But I did. Anyway, so y'all, I'm not gonna say this is an easy type of journey. It is not super easy, but it's also not that complicated. That's the thing. Like, I feel like some people make it seem like, oh, it's the most complicated thing in the world, and it's not. So there are certain things that you need to know before you go and date a man with kids. Like, you need to first understand that you're not gonna come first. You're not gonna come first. And I'm gonna repeat that. You're not gonna come first. His child comes first. That is going to be the light of his life. You can be the second light of his life. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, you have to understand, when you decide to have your own kids, they're going to come first. So you have to be mindful of that. Like, if his kids have something going on with them, like if they're sick, if they don't have school, if they have homework, if they need to go to the doctor, just anything, he got to be there. He has to be in his child's life. He has to be an active parent, not a passive kind of parent. We don't like that. We don't like passive parents. And I'm just thinking, like, would I ever want to be with a man that's not going to be in his child's life? That's not going to do what he has to do for his child? Because the same thing he going to do with that child, he going to do with your child if you have one, or if y'all have one together. And that's not okay. So at least if you're going to be with a man, at least make sure that man is, like, present with his kid. He's putting his child first. He's not going to go buy himself shoes before his child has new shoes. No, we need to dead that before it even starts. Like, that needs to be deaded. Anyway, the next thing is that you have to know that you're going to have to interact with his child's mother. There's not too many ways to put it. Like, you're going to have to know who she is. She's going to have to know who you are. You guys are going to have to eventually kind of have some type of relationship. Not early on, of course, because it's like you're still, getting with him, like still getting to feel his character. You're getting to know the child. But at the end of the day, you're going to have a role, and you're going to have to fill it, and you're going to have to think, okay, well, I need to know the mother. We need to be on the same page on, something, because I just feel like if you're there with the kid, like, shouldn't you know who the mom is? Shouldn't you want to know who the mom is? Like, shouldn't you have a relationship established with her? Don't get me wrong, that there's going to be some type of situations where you really don't want to know the mom. And the mom really doesn't want to know you. But you have to remember that if you're watching the kid, like, let's say, your man runs to the store or something, or he gotta go to a doctor's appointment, and the child is at the house and you're watching the child. If something happens and he's far away, but the mom is right down the street, you gotta call the mom. You have to be able to communicate with the mom. And I'm just gonna say it like this: the child's mother needs to learn how to be respectful of you, as well as you need to learn how to be respectful of her. Y'all can't just be butting heads like this. You can't be trying to play I'm mom now. You are not the child's mother. You're not. And that's okay. You don't have to be a child's mom if that child has a mom. That's why they have stepmoms, bonus moms. And if you're just dating the man, if you guys are just in a relationship, you're not engaged, you're not married, then you just kind of need to somewhat play that kind of role. It depends on how serious your relationship is. If you just not meeting this man, you do not have to play no stepmommy role, because you don't even know if you're going to be stepmom in the future. But if you have a solid relationship with this man the same way I do with my boyfriend, I'm going to make sure that everything I do is going to reflect good on his daughter, because not only is she going to be looking up to her mom, anybody her mother is dating, my boyfriend, but she's going to have to look up to me as well. She's going to be like, what's Keely doing? Or, just anything like that. She is still a toddler. So it's not like she's really like talking so much. It's not like she's looking into a career trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life or anything, but she's impressionable. And you have to know that as someone coming into a child's life, you're going to be making an impression on that child. That child's going to be looking at you like that. And for real, because that's how his daughter looks at me sometimes. She'll be like, just because. And you have to know, whatever you do, if they see it, they're probably going to do the same thing. Kids, they mimic a lot. They do a lot of role playing. So if they see you doing things like in the kitchen cooking, they're going to want to play that. They're going to play pretend. And that's how that works. If they see you going back and forth arguing with somebody, cursing at them, what do you think that child is going to do? They're going to go around cursing. They're going to go around arguing with people. They're going to be a little tyrant. And we don't need any more tyrants in the world. We have enough. So remember, that child is looking at you. She's going, or he is going to imitate you. Don't do nothing that you wouldn't want to do in front of your grandma in front of that child. If you can't do it in front of your grandma, if you can't do it at church, if you can't do it at school, don't do it in front of the child. Just don't. Because it just saves a lot of time, saves a lot of energy, and it saves a lot of awkward conversations with the parents, because they're going to look at you like, what did you do in front of my child to make them start doing this? They're going to ask those questions, rightfully so. They can. That's their child. They want to know, are you going to be like a good role model for that child? Yeah. Another thing that you have to know when dating a man with kids is that you have to have patience. And I cannot stress that enough. You have to have patience. You have to have patience not only with that man, with that child, but also with yourself. Patience with the man, it's just like he's going through trying to be a dad, trying to make sure he stays on a good side of the child's mother, because you're not going to 100% know what their relationship was like. I mean, don't get me wrong, like you'll know what's going on if he tells you. My boyfriend tells me things that go on, so I kind of have a good feeling of how their relationship and co-parenting dynamic goes. But you have to look at the situation and be like, this is probably hard for him too. He's probably thinking like, dang, maybe he didn't want to have a kid and not be with the mom. Maybe he wasn't ready to have a child. Maybe their relationship and their co-parenting isn't the best. You have to understand that he's going through stuff the same way you are. You have to be patient with the child, because at the end of the day, that child knows mommy, daddy. They're looking at you like, who is this? At least they might. Like I said, my boyfriend's daughter is a toddler. So she's not going to look at me like, who is this? She's just going to look at me like, okay, this is just another person. Like at the moment, I'm just another person to her. I'm not like this woman is trying to take over my daddy and be my mom or anything like that. Like, no, I'm literally just another person who's going to try to be a good role model for her. But for those who have older kids, like you need to be patient with those older kids, because they're going to be like, dang, like my mom and my dad not together no more. Now my daddy want to be with you. Like, who are you? And it is what it is. I mean, I can't be mad, because it's not like my parents separated when I was about 7 years old. And anybody that my parents would have was around, whether they were dating the person, because at the time my parents wouldn't even tell me if they were dating the person. So for real, like I'd just be finding stuff out like now that I'm an adult. Like, oh, did you date so-and-so? Did you date so-and-so? Because I usually typically remember names. But anyway, like I know I was asking questions like, who are you? Where my mama know you from? Where my daddy know where you from? Like, why we at this person's house? Do we like them? I don't know if I like them. I don't like them. Or they're okay, like I'm going to give my opinion just like that child is. So you still have to understand that the kid is going through so much themselves. Like they want to know that you're not a threat to them, to their parents. Like they just want to know like what's to you. And then you just have to be patient with yourself, because as somebody who doesn't have kids, dating someone with kids, I have to know like what can I personally handle. I have to be honest with myself. Like, do I feel like I can handle this kind of situation? Do I feel like in the future, can I be a step mom, a bonus mom? I have to like really like take a step back and think like, I don't want to come into his life. I don't want to come into his daughter's life and not be able to take on the role of being that role model, being that person that his daughter will one day be able to come to. So I have to be patient with myself, because I have to know like, this is what I can and can't handle. These are my boundaries. This doesn't need to be crossed. So things like that. And speaking of boundaries, dating a man with kids, you need to know how to set boundaries. Like boundaries are a must. And I'm not just saying that to say like, oh, you need boundaries between like you and him or you and the child, but you need to tell him like there needs to be boundaries set between you and your child's mother. Because don't get me wrong, of course there are emergency situations where she might have to text him at 2 o'clock in the morning, oh, the child has a fever, they're super sick, I have to take them to the hospital or something like that. Like it could be anything like that. It could be like a weekend thing, like maybe your boyfriend has his child and the mother is texting him like, hey, how's, so and so doing? Are they okay? Are they doing this? Did they do their homework? Did you make sure you give them their medicine? Anything like that. But there are certain circumstances where boundaries can be overstepped, like going around just calling them in the middle of the night. That's not okay. And it literally could not be about the child. If it's not about the child, you need to set a time that they can reach out to you. Like, no, because if they're not friends, because don't get me wrong, there are some co-parenting situations where the parents are friends, like they're cool, but you have to understand that there are going to be times that somebody might try you, and it's important to stay patient. But like I said, after a certain time, they should not be reaching out. Okay, for example, let's say 9 p.m. is your cutoff time. Like anything that you need to say about the child, you should say it before 9 p.m. After 9 p.m., between like 9 p.m. and 7 a.m., anything between those times, we're not communicating unless it's an emergency. Don't ask me like don't reach out to the person and say, hey, so did so-and-so like eat dinner? And it's like 11 p.m. Why are you asking at 11 p.m. if your child ate dinner? That's not okay. That's not appropriate, because you still have to respect the boundaries. You still have to respect somebody else's relationship. And that goes for the child's mother reaching out to your boyfriend. That goes for your boyfriend reaching out to the child's mother. They might not see it as a big deal, but more than likely it's going to be a big deal to you, because then somebody's going to feel like it's okay to be reaching out super late at night because, oh, well, it's about the baby, but it's not an emergency. So why are you texting at 2 o'clock in the morning? And I'm not saying that happened in my relationship, but I'm saying like it can happen. It can cause an issue. I know that at one point in my relationship, not that anybody was doing anything necessarily wrong, but it was like, you're asking a question that you could have asked earlier in the day. I think that there should be like a set time. And he was okay with that. He was not upset, and he understood that my feelings are valid and I don't want them texting all willy-nilly or anything like that. So just set boundaries, know what's appropriate, what isn't appropriate, get that together, because you want to make sure that you're comfortable. Like you're already stepping into a situation that can be uncomfortable. So make yourself like find a way to give yourself comfortability. Is that a word? Comfortability, something like that. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. Like, make sure you're good, because if you're not making sure you're good, anybody's going to feel like they can do whatever, and that's not okay. Yeah, so you have to understand, like, this situation is not easy. It's not the most ideal situation. Like, everybody's kind of like, everybody might feel some type of way. There might be some tension at one point, but if you know that you can handle this type of situation, like if you know, like, you're okay with potentially being a bonus mom, a stepmom one day, I say go for it. I don't think that this life is for everybody. I do not think that everybody can handle dating a man with kids. I thought that I wasn't one of those people who could do it, not necessarily because I couldn't handle it, but kind of like I really don't want to handle it. But it's not the worst thing that I've ever gone through. This actually is something that I personally can handle. It's nothing that I've contemplated like, should I leave him? Like, nothing like that. I do think that if in a certain situation, like if you start to think like, can I really handle this? Like, should I be with him? Like, this is a lot. Like, take a step back out of your relationship, and that's okay. Don't make it something bad where you feel like, oh, we're taking a break, that means we're going to break up. Like, that's not always what that means. Sometimes you have to take a step back of your relationship to analyze and like take into perspective like anything that you might be feeling some type of way about, because sometimes you can think like, I can't handle this, but it might just be something like I said, one of the things I said, maybe there's no boundaries that are being set. Maybe you're not being patient. It could be anything. And once you start to think about the things like what's really bothering you, there might be a way to fix it. But if there's not, that's okay. Not everybody can handle the situation, but it's better to know sooner rather than later. Don't wait until you're like 3 years in and now you want to dip, because now the kid knows you, and now you're going to cause some emotional like kind of damage to the man and to the kid, because now he has to go back and find somebody new. The kid's starting to like you, getting used to you, you're the kid's role model, and now you're just like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore, this is just too much, I can't handle it, like, let me don't do that. Don't do that. That is so disrespectful. Like, that is so rude. If you can't handle it from the jump, if you don't think you can handle it, you know, I can understand if you're a couple of months in and you're like, you know what, this is a lot. I really thought I could handle it, but years later, that's not good. That's not good. But yeah, guys, so that's about it of, you know, like what you should know when you're dating a man with kids. I know there's got to be like some other things, but I really feel like those are like the biggest things. And once you tackle those things, like everything kind of just falls in place after that. This is not an easy situation to deal with, but you know, if you feel like you can do it, go ahead. I ain't gonna tell you not to do it. I know some people will be like, well, if you ain't got no kids, like, why you dating somebody with kids? It's not that deep. It's not that deep. I wouldn't tell my friends, yeah, go and date, you know, just only go look out for men with kids. But I'm not going to say don't count them out, because sometimes like everybody has their own different type of circumstances. Only you can know what you can handle. And you just have to fill out the situation and see what, you know, you cool with and what you're not cool with. But yeah, guys, so that's it for this video, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye.